September the 20th, 2010, I began the process of clearing the machines and PBs, personalized electronic ballots. For the election that were scheduled. In the process, there were 15 machines that had some type of malfunction and were not operable for the general election. The shortage of machines resulted in a significant shortage of 5 of the largest precincts, and the most noticeable precinct was Walterbo number 4, which was beyond my control. Corrected back. The day after election tabulation occurred. On the morning of November the 3rd, 2010, I began processing the virtual precincts, votes, and flashcard audit data. During the process, I manually inputted the emergency provisional ballots per precinct. While processing, I called the State Election Commission for instruction. After speaking with an official at the State Commission office, I was informed that the emergency provisional was a virtual precinct, and I needed to process those votes using the optical scanner machine. As I followed the election preparation and result accumulation guide, version 4.8, I continued the step and missed the step that caused the tabulation doubling error for 7 precincts. Although the error was made, it went unnoticed during the certification process. As a result, a wrong report was certified. Due to the law regarding certification, we were unable to recertify the report. Our office maintained the correct, accurate results for each precinct, and we invited the general public to come anytime in the office to review those reports. Explanation of error. When the State Election Commission office began reviewing our 2010 election file data report, it was discovered that I never properly reset the manual votes that were inputted prior to me uploading them by the virtual precinct. Although I followed the manual instruction, it was assumed that I understood the next step that was not clearly written in the manual. Initially, I was told that the flashcard audit data process read the precinct twice, which caused a double error. But it was later determined that I didn't reset those precincts, which caused the tabulation error that doubled. Corrective actions. I am more experienced with the Unity tabulation process, and I will formally begin my course of certification beginning March of this year, 2011. Overall, the previous election results were never affected. I can assure the citizens of Colleton County and the state of South Carolina that hopefully those errors will not occur again. However, there will never be a perfect election, but I'll work every day to obtain and maintain accuracy.
The night of the election, there was totals, and the total votes didn't seem to add up.
The total votes of the night of the election was the unofficial result. Okay. It's always unofficial, and on top of that legislated unofficial result. The only thing that was missing on that night was the PB from the absentee ballots, but the tape was printed and it was on the wall, posted on the wall. However, it wasn't included in the count, but it was there on the wall that we had the night of the election. Other than that, the emergency provisional ballots that I manually input the next day, those are the only votes that were counted.
Let me go a little bit further, a couple of days later, when the full commission is certified the totals.
Yes, sir. It's in the report. When they certified the totals due to the tabulation error, what was going on initially, because of the resetting process, which Columbia, we went over this last week, it was an error in the system as well. The commission, it went unnoticed by the commission as well as me, because the obvious problem was there were more registered voters reporting in precincts than they actually were. When that line item lined up and reconciled, it moved over. That was the error. It moved over to 7 precincts and doubled, and we found out the error, which is in the report.
I have no idea what you're saying.
It's in the report. It's the state have the same.
It makes no sense to me. The question I have is the totals that were certified. It seems to me that the totals that were certified, the total number of ballots cast versus the total ballots, let's say the 2 gubernatorial candidates. You had the 2 gubernatorial candidates, how many votes were cast versus how many people voted. Those numbers didn't.
You are correct. You are correct.
You have a lot more votes
than
people voted.
There were 7 precincts that numbers doubled, plus due to the manual input, which is in the report. That was the reason why it occurred. because it wasn't properly reset. Me being a novice, it happened, I made an error, and we're doing everything to correct it.
But the question comes, if you have a statistical possibility, if you got more ballots, if you're going to certify that the candidates received more ballots than there were votes cast, why was there a certification? Why did people sign a form saying this is a certified total, knowing that it was a statistical impossibility for that to be?
Senator Cruz, as you would notice in the state reports, it went unnoticed by our office as well as the state. We made an error which we had addressed and we will rectify, and the state did too. Because when we recertified, it went unnoticed until November the 10th. November the 10th, we had someone locally call the state, and that's when the state recognized it as well. So it was recognized locally as well. It was unrecognized locally as well as the statewide. It was an error that we made, and as I stated earlier, it was unnoticed during the time of the election. We apologize for that mistake, but it never affected the total results of the election. So it was certified locally as well as the state. So the state made that error as well.
That's correct.
That's it. The state, we didn't recognize it, neither did the state.
And I still ask the question to the state election commission on the certification of the statewide totals, knowing that they were reporting more ballots for the candidates than ballots cast on a statewide basis. And I've got, and that is a great concern. You talk about there being an error in the system. I prefer you to say that.
I said that yes sir, in the flash data card, somehow or another, we don't know why, the state, they are looking into it as well. We want to know why after the audit process that it causes numbers to shift. And me being a novice had a lot to do with it.
And I understand that. I need to find out what mistakes were made to make sure that we don't ever make these mistakes.
So when they weren't properly reset, what it ended up doing was adding the original votes plus the enter votes and the provisional votes.
The original votes plus the entered votes.
Right.
What would be the entered vote?
The enter vote was the original vote. Me not knowing that I only needed to add the additional provisional emergency ballot vote.